Synthetics by Lucas Alpi. Chapter 1. It only took one mistake to end the world. A stupid mistake. A human mistake. A single canister, smooth and unlabeled, slipped from Matthew Rowley's hands and hit the floor. No explosion, no crack, just a dull clink as metal kissed tile, followed by the slow, lazy spin of its lid before it wobbled to a stop. Matthew's pulse slammed in his ears, drowning out the silence. He stared at the canister, his breath locked in his throat. Stephen Ang, standing beside him, had already stopped breathing first. The canister lay open, its contents exposed. A single culture disc, no bigger than a palm, its surface coated in a clear viscous sheen. It looked harmless, like condensation on glass. Matthew's hands went to his head.
F***,
he whispered, rocking slightly on his heels.
sh**.
The air felt different, heavy, denser somehow. A smell he couldn't name, something sterile, like antiseptic, but with a chemical edge that made his stomach tighten.
"Don't breathe,"
Stephen muttered. Matthew yanked his collar over his nose as if that would help.
What the f*** is that?
"Beats me."
Stephen moved slow, deliberate, like any sudden motion might wake the thing lying between them. He reached for the biocontainment gloves clipped to the wall, his fingers tightening inside the thick rubber as he slid them on.
"We're just the delivery. They don't tell us shit."
Their job was simple. Push carts, read charts, scan codes, 3 Cs, as Stephen called them. They didn't question what they moved, and they were never supposed to ask. In classified spaces, ignorance was safer than knowledge.
Should we report this?
Matthew's voice cracked. Stephen sighed.
"You not knowing that means you didn't. Never mind."
His gaze flicked up to the security camera blinking red in the corner.
"See that? They're reporting it already."
Matthew swallowed hard.
Are we getting fired?
"Depends on what we dropped."
3 sharp knocks. The overhead speakers crackled, and a voice, flat mechanical, filled the room.
You know the procedure. Doc Miller says it means nothing right now.
Beyond the glass, shadows moved. Figures in yellow hazmat suits flooded the space, their movements synchronized and unhurried. But behind them, larger silhouettes loomed, gray uniforms, bulkier, weapons holstered at their sides. Not containment personnel, military. Stephen exhaled slowly.
"That's even faster than October."
Matthew turned to him, searching his face.
What did I drop?
Stephen's gaze flicked to his. Stop asking questions.
You're the new guy.
The voice on the speaker continued.
We just take orders, but between best case and worst case,
A pause.
you're dead. But that's just me.
A hiss filled the room as sterilization began. A fine mist sprayed from overhead vents, rolling over their skin like a cold, invisible tide. Matthew clenched his fists as the chemical settled into his pores, clinging to his hair, his lashes, seeping beneath his collar and down his spine like phantom fingers. His tongue tasted bitter, metallic, like he'd been sucking on coins. The hazmat team moved without hesitation, thrusting masks into their hands. They were heavier than expected, the mouthpieces thick and industrial, with tiny filtration cylinders attached like grotesque appendages. Matthew pulled his on, breath rasping loud inside the enclosure. Beside him, Stephen did the same, his face bloodless, sweat beading along his temple. His attempt at a reassuring smile barely twitched before falling flat.
"We'll be opening the room. Just walk at a normal pace as we assist you to the quarantine area,"
one of the suits said to them. Then the doors opened. The corridor beyond was darker than the one they came from, the lighting dimmer, almost atmospheric. Matthew had never seen this part of the facility before. The yellow-suited containment team flanked them, their movements eerily synchronized. The gray uniformed soldiers stood apart, visors tinted black, silent, armed. Matthew wanted to see their expressions. He wanted to find something, judgment, pity, humanity. There was none. just glass and silence and the sound of his own breathing, amplified inside the mask. Walk normal, he reminded himself. That's what the voice had said. Walk at a normal pace. Everything had a purpose. The spacing, the order, the silence. They were part of a carefully designed protocol, one that had existed long before today, long before them. Somewhere, a fluorescent light flickered. Footsteps echoed, precise and measured. Matthew's throat tightened.
I f***ed up.
His voice came small, breaking apart.
I f***ing screwed up.
No one reacted. Not the men in hazmat suits, not the soldiers with their numbered uniforms, not Stephen, who only kept walking. And that was when Matthew knew he was going to die.
I'm glad you finished the first chapter, and thank you. My name is Sukas, the author of what you've just watched. I've just uploaded the first 5 chapters of the novella, and yes, this is a novella. And then there will be one chapter every week. But if you don't want to wait, there is an audiobook and a full ebook down in the description if you want. It's only for like a small cost, so that it can support the channel, so that the channel won't die and dwindle. I don't want that. Anyway, on to the next chapter.